Ever heard of the Will Mastin Trio? This was a group of talented dancers and singers that graced stages between 1920 to 1960, and it initially comprised of Will Mastin, Howard M. Colbert Jr., and Sammy Davis Sr. When Colbert left and joined the Army in December 1941, Sammy Davis Sr.'s son replaced him. This is the story of Sammy Davis Jr., the youngest of the trio. A man whose life was a symphony of triumphs and challenges, his highs being fame and lows being extreme prejudice.
Cohen said, "You've got 48 hours to marry a black girl or a black woman, or you're dead."
In the spotlight, he dazzled audiences with his unparalleled talents, but behind the scenes, he navigated a complex tapestry of identity, resilience, and the pursuit of authenticity. Join us as we unravel the extraordinary journey of Sammy Davis Jr., a true icon whose legacy continues to resonate and transcend generations. Sammy Davis Jr. was born on December 8, 1925 to Elvira Sanchez and Sammy Davis Sr. He was born in Harlem, Manhattan in New York. His parents were both entertainers and stage performers, so it was no surprise that Sammy Davis would soon follow in their footsteps. He was therefore raised by his grandmother, but when his parents separated when he was just 3 years old, his father took him on tour so as to not lose custody of his son. Then began his exposure to the world of performers. He learned how to dance through his father and godfather, Will Mastin, and joined the trio just as a child. The trio toured extensively, providing young Sammy with a unique education in show business. His innate ability to captivate audiences became evident during his formative years, setting the stage for a remarkable career that would later make him a trailblazing figure in entertainment. At the age of 7, he got his first singing and dance role in the film Rufus Jones for President. He began his career pretty early thanks to his father. Though as a child, his father and godfather tried to shield and protect him from racism, it soon became very clear that it was not something that he just imagined, especially when he was drafted into the Army in 1944. Davis Jr. lived in an era where once you reached 18 years old, you could potentially be drafted into the Army as service to one's country. He therefore was not spared. This was where he experienced racism in all its colors, and ooh, did he hate it. He experienced continuous violence that left his nose broken severally, belittling and mockery. He was even offered an alcoholic drink laced with urine at some point. The white soldiers had finally found a punching bag. However, as if the stars were aligned, he was reassigned to a different branch where he simply soared. He even began performing for some of his fellow soldiers, and by the time he left in 1945, he had earned 2 medals for his great service: the American Campaign Medal and the World War II Victory Medal. He attributed his military service to his talents. He said, "My talent was the weapon, the power, the way for me to fight. It was the one way I might hope to affect a man's thinking." He hoped his talent would at least change the world's perspective on black people. Too bad he did not live long enough to experience the great strides made against racism today.
Whether I'm right.
He went back to performing immediately he finished his service. Davis Jr. rejoined the Will Mastin Trio, and they performed in Portland, Oregon in various venues, captivating audiences with their energetic acts. In 1949, he began recording blues for Capitol Records under the name Shorty, Muggins, and Charlie Green. Davis Jr. major breakthrough came when he caught the attention of Hollywood. He started securing roles in films such as Sweet and Low in 1947 and Porgy and Bess's in 1959. His reputation as a skilled entertainer grew, and he became a member of the then famous Rat Pack alongside famous people such as Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. This association further elevated his status in the entertainment industry. They made so many movies together, such as Ocean's 11 in 1960, Sergeant's 3 in 1962, and Robin and the Seven Hoods in 1964. They also performed oftenly in Las Vegas together. In 1964, he became the first African-American to perform as a singer at Copacabana nightclub in New York, a big win for the black community. He, however, still faced racial segregation. In fact, as a headliner at the Frontier Casino in Las Vegas, and as a black person, he and others like him were not allowed to stay in any of the hotels. They were only allowed to stay in lodges, and far into the west of the city, unlike his white colleagues who got the best hotel rooms in the town. During performances, the black performers had to wait outside by the swimming pool, while the white performers had their own changing rooms. They were only allowed to perform but not eat, drink, or stay in the hotels or restaurants they performed in, because they simply were not white. Sammy, however, decided it was not worth it and declined to work for places that practiced racial segregation of any kind. He later joined a Canadian network, CBC, that gave opportunities to black people, and in 1959 starred in his own TV special called Sammy Parade. He had found an opportunity of a lifetime, since in the US, black people were not portrayed well on television. By the mid-1960s, he was not only starring in a musical called Golden Boy at night, but also shooting his own talk show during the day. He also had singles such as I've Gotta Be Me and The Candyman, which were major hits. What a multi-talented man. He made appearances to soap operas such as General Hospital and One Life to Live as Chip Warren that earned him a Daytime Emmy Award nomination in 1980. He also appeared in games shows such as Tattletales and Family Feud. Davis Jr. excelled not only in singing and dancing, but also as a comedian and impressionist. His charismatic stage presence and ability to connect with a diverse audience solidified his place as a groundbreaking figure in show business, breaking down racial barriers along the way. Despite facing racism and discrimination, he persevered, showcasing his versatility as a performer.
I can't get over it, huh? You know something, baby? You look like me.
In 1954, Davis had a car accident that saw him live his life without his left eye, that was stabbed by the bullet-shaped horn button of his car. He lived and performed with a glass left eye throughout his career. Sammy Davis Jr. also struggled with alcoholism for many years, from which he later developed cirrhosis. This was a struggle close to his heart that he founded and sponsored Sammy Davis Jr. National Liver Institute in New Jersey in 1985 to help people with similar struggles. In 1989, while on tour, Davis Jr. was diagnosed with throat cancer, which led to the end of his career as his treatments made it so that he could not perform. A malignant tumor was found in his throat, and this was attributed to him also being a heavy smoker. Smoking almost 4 packets of cigars in a day, Davis refused to have surgery to remove his larynx, as he preferred to keep his voice, and instead got definitive radiation therapy. However, when the cancer reoccurred, he was forced to have his larynx removed. He was released from the hospital on 13th of March 1990 and died on 16th of May 1990 due to complications from his throat cancer. He died at his home in Beverly Hills, California at the age of 64 and is buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California. In his honor, the neon lights of the Las Vegas Strip were darkened for 10 minutes on 18th of May 1990. Davis, being a Catholic, converted to Judaism in 1961 after a near-death road accident. The religion interested him, and he felt they were a different breed with amazing beliefs he related to. In 1957, Davis Jr. dated Kim Novak, a white actress, signed with Columbia Pictures. The then president of Columbia threatened to harm him if he did not end the relationship with the actress. He was even forced to marry Lorraine White, a black woman he briefly dated so as to avoid mob violence.
Colbert said, "You've got 48 hours to marry a black girl or a black woman, or you're dead."
This led to him almost committing suicide, as he could not understand why he couldn't be allowed to live his life as he pleased. They never lived together, and he formally divorced her in April 1959. He then married May Britt, a white Swedish-born actress, in 1960. Well, he knew how to play with fire. This led to him receiving hate mails concerning his marriage. They, however, loved each other and even had a daughter together in 1961, Tracy Davis. They also adopted 2 sons, Mark and Jeff, which they raised as their own. After 8 years of marriage and Davis admitting to cheating on his wife with a singer named Lola Falana, May Britt divorced him in 1968. He then turned to alcohol, cocaine, and experimented with Satanism and pornography. The same year he began Altovise Gore, a dancer in Golden Boy, and they got married in 1970, and in 1989 they adopted a son named Manny. He was therefore survived by his widow Altovise and 4 children. Known as Mr. Show Business to many, Sammy Davis Jr. was not only a dancer but a singer, comedian and actor. He often referred to himself as the only black Puerto Rican, one-eyed Jewish entertainer in the world. He had his many struggles, but he was determined to make it work, and that's what made him special. Thank you, Mr. Show Business, for adding to our happiness and believing in a world that embraced all people in all their color. In loving memory of Sammy Davis Jr.
Because I had so much contempt thrown at me, so much hatred thrown at me, I've really awakened to the point where I've really got no time to hate that vehemently back.